small rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
You know, we've been doing this long enough. It's very, very difficult to surprise us. And I don't know what it is, but recently, this, I would consider it a classic, but it's a little underground, this classic interview that the late, great Robin Williams did with the flanneled one, George Lucas, back in 2000. It seems to have resurfaced. And, of course, we lost Robin a number of years ago, and I think that it's only natural that people sort of scour the archives and see, well, what's out there in his huge catalog of entertaining us for all those years that maybe I haven't seen or I haven't heard. And you'll find we're going to talk about it here on the program. We're going to revisit this with some interview highlights that Robin was really teaming up with Audible.com, kind of ahead of his time, really ahead of his time, with this idea of recording interviews and then releasing them on the internet. We call them podcasts now, but they didn't really have a word for it back then. And so what makes this so interesting is that it's George Lucas and it's Robin Williams. I mean, two people that you wouldn't necessarily have together on the tip of your tongue, but it just works. And something we've talked about here on the podcast before, and we're going to share it with you once again. So looking forward to revisiting that. I mean, Robin was just pure joy, and you combine it with George, and it's just somehow it just works. And an outrageous, unthinkable news story that you just don't want to miss about the Dark Lord of the Sith himself. So that's all coming up here on Rebel Force Radio. So glad to have you with us. Thanks for hanging out with us for the next couple hours to talk about the wars here as we are firmly into the summer months. Hope you're having a great summer so far. I know I am. And by Rebel Force Radio, in case you're new to the program and the introductions are in order, my name is Jason, and with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Summer in Star Wars. Two things that go perfectly together. And we still got the Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters. So if you want to try to pile on to the record-breaking box office haul of the Mandalorian and Grogu, now's your chance. Unfortunately, the record isn't really one worthy of breaking, though, as that film, I think, is going to go down as the lowest box office of all time for any Star Wars film. But, hey, that doesn't matter. I don't think the box office really determines the quality. And I think as Star Wars fans, I think a lot of us had a really good time with that movie. So go see it again. Why not? And also, I'm kind of waiting at the edge of my seat for some Star Wars Starfighter updates to be coming soon.
Yeah,
that's
let's get
next
that
up.
news cycle going. Come on.
Yeah, we should be. Yeah, you're right, Jason. Let's get that news cycle happening. I remember we got footage for the Mandalorian and Grogu at Star Wars Celebration Japan, and that was back in April 2025. So that was a solid year before the movie opened, and they were screening footage. So I wonder if any big conventions during the summer.
Is there a D23 this year?
We ask this question every year when we're considering the news cycles. It's always like, well, maybe there's a D23 this year.
Okay, there is August 14th through the 16th.
Oh,
yes. So it's going to be there's two venues here: the Honda Center and the Anaheim Convention Center. 3-day experience, 50+ panels. Okay, because it is every other year? Is it every other year? Okay.
Yes. I don't think me and Jason even really know what D23 actually is. We certainly have never been to one, but it is a place where they do occasionally drop breaking Star Wars news. Like, for example, I remember when they announced Ewan McGregor was going to come back for a Kenobi series, they did that at D23. So I think
there's that
that's
Jimmy
gonna
Mac
be-
memory again. With all the conventions and all the show and now, how do you remember that the Kenobi was a D23? I will say though, you do, you're pulling clips and you're naming audio clips and stuff. So I'm assuming that helps. But otherwise, it's just astonishing how you remember that stuff.
My brain has been conditioned over years, since the early 90s, to be sort of like this trap for audio sound bites and clips and things like that. It's just, it's there. And my brain always functions in a way where it responds with audio clips or movie clips or whatever. It always does that. And sometimes, more often than Wendy would like, I actually verbalize those thoughts right in the middle of a conversation. Like when Wendy's telling me about her sister being under the weather or something, I'll come up with some sort of song or something in response, and she hates that. She hates that. Yes, she'll be, yes, Betsy's a little under the weather. And I'll be like, changing the weather. She'll be like, I'm going to kill you, man.
And of course, you're not trying to be insensitive. It's just the way your brain works.
I can't help it. It's almost like audio producer Tourette's. I can't control it.
Right.
And it gets me in trouble from time to time.
For those that don't know, Jimmy has had a long career in radio production. And of course, you had to be sitting there ready with the trigger as the host would say something and you'd have a drop or something that would go with it. And I would imagine that does have, it's almost like its own PTSD.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can't turn it off.
Yeah. And sometimes if I'm the host, then it just derails me entirely. As people know who listen to shows like RFR Q&A on Patreon, that thing is tangent city because I get these flashes of inspiration that just it drives Wendy absolutely insane.
Well, hey, I want to go back to this D23 real quick because this is the first time I've been even thinking about D23. So August 14th, 7 p.m., that'd be Pacific time, I believe, Disney Entertainment Showcase. So if there's any news about future Star Wars, it's going to be the 14th, because on the 15th, it's more the experience stuff, the parks, that sort of thing. And then on the 16th is the big Legends ceremony hosted by Ryan Seacrest. We do have a Star Wars alum, Jim, going in for the class of 2026. Alan Tudyk is being inducted into this year's class, along with Bob Iger, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Chris Berman of ESPN fame, and some others that are, important, but not important enough to take up precious Rebel Force radio time. So anyway, that's something for us to look forward to, something for us to put on the calendar, August 14th. If D23 is going to break some big Star Wars news, that would probably be the day. There's also San Diego Comic-Con, but San Diego tends to be bigger, I feel like, not for announcements so much as more like merchandise tie-in, things like that, reveals, panels, so you might get more details about stuff that has already been announced. But so there could be some sort of a Starfighter panel, maybe at SDCC. It's possible. Yeah.
I believe it's going to happen. I have faith it will happen.
Okay.
Because, you really got to start hyping that thing up. And as I said, there's, disappointing box office numbers for The Mandalorian and Grogu. You'd think that the first thing that Lucasfilm is thinking about is getting news about Starfighter out there.
Yep. Change the conversation. As Don Draper said on Mad Men, if you don't like what they're saying about you, change the conversation. Yes, and they need to change the conversation, I think, at least not with us hardcore fans, but as it relates, I think, to the media and the narrative out there. So, with SDCC, coming up in July. Yeah, that will be interesting to see. I suspect there should be some sort of Lucasfilm presence, if anything, to sort of tee off the year 2027, because we expected the whole year to be a celebration of Star Wars with the 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big year, too. And I'm already trying to use the 50th anniversary of Star Wars to get my son a date with a girl he's chasing after.
Wait a minute.
Well, yeah, okay, so he started...
Usually I can follow your logic. This one I'm struggling a bit.
No, check this out. So there's this girl he knows, and she's starting to warm up to him a little bit. And
Stanza.
Yeah. So they were talking about movies, and Star Wars came up, and she revealed to him that she had never seen Star Wars before. And I said, dude, the original pre-special edition version is going to be hitting IMAX theater screens in February. Oh, that could be a great way to introduce her to the wars.
Right.
And I could tell there was there's some gears turning upstairs for him. He kind of liked the idea of that. And he goes, wait, what did he ask me about? Something about introducing people to Star Wars. I said, well, I did that with your mom, you know?
Yeah.
She never saw any of those movies before me. And now she's seen them all. And the streaming shows. And even an animated episode here or there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's potential here for young love in the suburbs. And that does tie into the 50th anniversary of Star Wars. So
we were so lucky when I went to Ohio State. We arrived on campus right when the special editions were coming out. There was a brand new movie theater just across the street on campus, and my girlfriend, now my wife, had remembered seeing him on TV here and there, but never really got into him. And so it was great to be able to expose her and show her the films on the big screen. And that's the way to do it if it's possible. So I fully endorse this plan. It's worth.
Yeah, I hope it works. I don't know if I was even supposed to talk about it on the show. So don't anybody repeat that story.
No, it's just between us right here.
Yeah. Let's keep it. Let's keep that on the down low, if you will.
She's never seen Star Wars. Ted, the only people in the universe who haven't seen Star Wars are the characters in Star Wars, and that's because they lived them, Ted. That's because they lived the Star Wars. You gotta calm down. I told you didn't know this girl well enough. What if you show it to her and she doesn't like it?
Dude, it's just a movie.
Ted, Star Wars is your all-time favorite movie, and whether or not Stella likes it is actually important. It's a test of how compatible you guys are.
Marshall, it's just a movie. It's just a movie.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
What's up, boys? Jason from beautiful Mount Vernon. I just wanted to call in on my piece on the Mandalorian and Grogu, and I thought it was a fantastic movie. I mean, I'm kind of sick and tired about hearing about the box office already. I mean, that whole paradigm has shifted. I think your big blockbusters are going to hit maybe 300, 400, 500 million nowadays. I don't foresee many going over that, so I think it did pretty good. I mean, it's a good movie. And as far as the future of Star Wars movies, I mean, I got two words for you. Cal Kestis. How is that not a thing? I mean, you got a massively popular video game, probably arguably one of the best ever, and nothing. I mean, you got the guy who could be the guy in the character in the game is the guy. He's a real person, make the movie. It would be fantastic. Base it off the game, have a new idea. You could do a series on Disney Plus. I mean, think of the adventures with that guy. It'd be fantastic. All right, well, I've rattled enough. See y'all later. High ground.
High ground.
McClunky.
McClunky.
Wow, I love it, man. He's got them all in there. Thanks for the call, Jason. Appreciate it. Now, I've not played the games. Obviously, Mac has worked his way, I believe, through both by now. I know you were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. With Cal Kestis, so those of you out there that don't know, we're talking about maybe outside of Baby Yoda, the most successful original character created in the Disney era, I would say. I think Cal Kestis is enormously popular. I don't think he's hit necessarily mainstream consciousness, but amongst Star Wars fans and especially those in gaming, he's definitely a popular character. And yes, it's true. Like Sam Witwer before him, Cameron Monaghan is the actor that portrays the character. And so you feel like the building blocks are there. And Jim, I did a little research because I just wasn't sure. I can be a little naive because I'm not a gamer. And I was just looking at the market potential of video games versus films in the year 2026. And I was surprised, again, just because I'm looking at it from my own point of view. I'm not a gamer, but I do love movies. I was surprised to learn how much bigger the upside and potential is with games than it is for films. I mean, multiple times more potential. And, you look at Minecraft, for example, that's become a franchise, had a huge film. Mario Brothers, been around for, almost as long as Star Wars. And it's had 2 big films. It does make me wonder about Jason's question. You kind of can combine maybe the best of both worlds, where you get the gaming audience that's super excited because they love this character, the Star Wars audience that has already embraced him. You've already got the actor. Why not? I think Jason makes a whole lot of sense here.
The restrictions on making a movie about him now are pretty simple to see. They haven't really finished the story.
Right. There's a third one coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another game happening. So there's still more to his story to be told via video games. So I think a crossover 2 movies would be premature at this time. I think Cal as a character is maybe more and better suited for a streaming series.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think the direction Star Wars is going to be taking as far as movies going into the future is that there aren't going to be any character focused type of things anymore. I think they're going to go back to the saga format, the 3-episode trilogies, and see
more
how
of an
that
ensemble cast as opposed to drilling in on one character. Yeah.
Right. I mean, look at the 2 movies in which they did that, Solo and the Mando movie. And the returns on those 2 films aren't exactly spectacular. It seems like there is an audience desire to see a return to the big picture stories told in Star Wars. And those stories are told via the saga films. That's what people want. That's what people are craving. And to then throw in a character who is not even a side character, he's a video game character exclusively, and to try to get general audiences to care about that character by giving him his own feature film, I think right now, judging the current film landscape and the box office and everything, I don't think that there's too much potential for something like that. As a streaming series, yes, I could see it happening.
Yeah.
As a film project, no way. I think you're going to see Star Wars get way more focused on those saga films and pushing the stories into the future too. You have to understand Jedi Survivor and that series of games, those stories are all being told in the dark times between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. And quite honestly, it's hard to believe that merely a dozen years ago, this was an era that was absolutely untouched and full of potential. And now I just think that period of time, which we always called the dark times, the age of the Empire, I think that's really been mined to death at this point. And I think Lucasfilm is looking beyond episode 9 and pushing the stories forward into that future of the timeline, and not spinning their wheels in that era between the two trilogies anymore.
Would you still say that with, say, the prospect of given everything that you've said about character-focused stories, singular character-focused stories, and where you anticipate things to go, would you still say that if they dangled a Vader film in front of you, or a Vader series in front of you that focused on that era? Because I have this feeling, and internet rumors are internet rumors, but I just feel like where there's smoke, there's fire, and there just seems to always be this perpetual rumor that there's something cooking between Hayden Christensen and Lucasfilm beyond just Ahsoka. There's something out there. And a lot of people are, speculating, well, what else could that be but a Vader series?
Right.
How would you feel about that? You got character focused, and you've got Dark Times era, The Purge, all of that.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Obviously, I would love to see it. I think that could be good for a streaming series. I think that would be great for a streaming series. But then Darth Vader becomes this TV villain.
Right.
And his place has always been on the silver screen. So if you were going to do a spin-off Vader film, yeah, that's interesting. Especially considering some of the things that Dave Filoni has recently said about his unwillingness to use the character just willy-nilly. It would have to be a situation in which the story demanded it. But also, I think that fandom has sort of demanded access to Vader in his prime.
Yes.
When he's purely Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And it could be focused on that. Not dealing with specters of the past like the Kenobi show did with Vader, where he was dealing with seeking vengeance on Kenobi, and how does that all tie into the story that's already been told? Well, we could just take a familiar playing field, which is the Empire and its oppression of the galaxy, and Darth Vader as this soldier of evil who was carrying out the Emperor's main plan to execute Jedi. There's a lot of Jedi out there in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And you could spend a whole season focusing on one Jedi and Vader's pursuit of that Jedi. But then does the show become more about the Jedi than Darth Vader?
Right.
And does Vader then become very repetitive in what he's going through? You have to have like something personal happening for Vader throughout the series as well.
Right.
Be, something different and new other than just being the Emperor's lapdog.
Well, right. And the temptation would be to have him retreating into his meditation chamber and looking at hollow images of Padme. That would be the temptation,
they would do that.
Of course, right? So he would be all angsty and whereas I think the Vader that a lot of fans want to see, and what you're articulating, is the Vader that's moved past all that. He's past it, and he'll stay past it until he meets his children, until he meets Luke. That's when things start to change and go the other way. But I have this feeling, having seen Kenobi, that moment, and it's iconic now. As derided as that show is, man, I can't be on social media for more than a few minutes before someone's throwing that clip of "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, Master. I did." I mean, that's up there, man. And I'm so thankful of that to that series for giving us that moment with Hayden and Ewan. It's incredible, and I think that is the moment, and especially when Palpatine essentially tells Vader at the end of that series, "Look, it's over. This whole thing with you and Kenobi, it's over. You got to move beyond it." And I think that is the moment when he really does just completely dedicate himself to putting an end to all this stuff with the Jedi and just hunting them down and murdering them like dogs and all that. And that's the show that we want.
Right.
But I think the show they would give us is, "Oh, Padme, I miss you."
Or like crying about Shmi, stuff like that. At least give us thoughts of Kitster in one episode for crying out loud.
Hunting down Kitster.
Yeah. But I just think that once Vader gets that sort of that programming from the Emperor at the end of the Kenobi series, and he sort of sits up a little straighter, and that he is fully committed himself to the dark side and the cause of the Empire, and then what? He goes out hunting Jedi, just wherever they get a tip or what have you. He doesn't care if it's Kenobi or not anymore. He just wants to hunt down the Jedi and then also enforce the Emperor's rule, like internally amongst the Empire. Like he's sort of the guy who keeps them all in check. He's like the dean of discipline for the Empire. And that becomes something that Vader spends a lot of time doing. So where do you take that character, though?
Yeah.
Because he becomes such a one-trick pony throughout the whole narrative that you would have to focus on a Jedi, and then Vader would appear like twice an episode at the same time every week. You can almost plan your viewing around it.
Yeah.
You'll know exactly when Vader shows up.
Didn't they do that with in the old Incredible Hulk show? Like you knew like he would become Hulk like twice in each episode, like 20 minutes past the hour.
20 minutes
like
past the hour, and then quarter two.
It
would happen twice. Yeah. So and it was on Friday night, so you'd be ready, getting yourself ready to go out and hang out on a Friday night. You would then you'd go, "Oh wait, I got to go watch Channel 2. He's gonna change.
He's gonna Hulk out."
I got to see that. And then he'd be done, and then Bill Bixby would be back, and he'd be like, "Okay, well, they can carry on until quarter two."
So they might do that. It would be predictable, and
it'll be just too predictable to do a Vader series. Unfortunately, I can't find. I mean, you'd have to have a real special, unique angle, like maybe bring in the Star Killer and have him present kind of a rivalry with Vader, or some other dark side user.
But that's pushing it maybe more into the original trilogy era, perhaps. But because he wasn't really a rival, but in a way, I guess he sort of Palpatine was manipulating and kind of using that to. Yeah, I think Palpatine probably always wanted to pit Vader against someone else so that Vader was always competing and staying hungry and all of that.
Bring in Nikki Frazier and make it a rom-com. I don't know. But you'd have to have a specific kind of angle.
Right.
Very true. And I just don't know what that could be without disrupting the whole mythology of Darth Vader to begin with.
Yeah.
So, be careful what you wish for. It might be more interesting as an animated series.
Well, Maul certainly proved that they can make a very convincing and scary Darth Vader in animation, I think. Very effective.
And he didn't even have to say a word of dialogue.
Right. All right, let's check in. We got another one here. This is Adam talking about Starfighter.
Chet, guys. This is Adam in Seattle. I was just listening to your synopsis of Starfighter, and I'm find myself wondering what the synopsis has anything to do with the title. Do you guys think it's maybe referring to the Ryan Gosling character, like he's the Starfighter, you know, a veteran of the, you know, First Order and fight and all that, and he has to dust off his particular set of skills, you know, to get the kid out of danger kind of thing. Or this is definitely not, I think, going to be like Rogue Squadron, you know, Top Gun, fighter jocks, you know, kind of thing. I think that ship is maybe sailed, but what do you think that's is it just referring to a character or what? I don't know. The two don't seem to match up very well. Also, I think if they're going to have anything with Starfighter in the title, they should have the Lance Guest cameo in there, just for us who are of a particular age who gets that reference.
The
let me know what you guys think.
Yeah. Well, it's a good question because, Jim, you laid out a pretty interesting plot storyline for this film based on a lot of speculation and maybe a little inside information. I don't know who your sources are, but nonetheless, a pretty interesting plot. And it didn't carry with it a lot of that early speculation that this film entitled Starfighter was going to sort of be Top Gun in space, Top Gun meets Star Wars. Yeah. We were talking about, we've got confirmation from the director himself, Sean Levy, about lightsabers. And there's strong speculation about a Force-sensitive child and all of these things that seem like they're focusing, you know, potentially on Jedi and Sith more than pilots and ships. But what I keep coming back to is there's got to be a reason why this uncle, played by Ryan Gosling, was chosen for such an important mission. And who better to choose than someone who's maybe nicknamed Starfighter or who is a Starfighter or, you know, is a veteran of these types of missions and things like that. So I think there's room for both to be true, but it does feel like we're moving away from this sort of Top Gun in space concept that we talked about for a long time.
I don't know about that.
No?
We haven't heard anything about Star Wars dogfights happening in this movie, or
right.
I think a key component of Top Gun is it's sort of an ensemble of guys. They have a crew,
yeah,
and you know that all of these different pilots are responsible for flying the planes in their squadron. So it's more than just one guy. In Starfighter, it sure seems like it's one guy. Unless, of course, so what we've understood is Ryan Gosling is the uncle of the kid who is Force sensitive. His mom was killed. His mom presumably being Ryan Gosling's sister. And Ryan Gosling is a rough around the edges war hero that the kid, Flynn Gray, meets up with in a cantina. So he might be kind of lost post-war, you know, and he spends a lot of his time drinking and doesn't really know where his place is in the galaxy anymore. And then all of a sudden this kid gets presented to him and he has to deliver the kid from point A to point B. And point B being safety, point B maybe being Rey Skywalker,
right,
and her fledgling Jedi Academy. So it's just getting him from point A to point B. Does he enlist his old war buddies to help him out? Maybe reunite the squadron from the old days.
Get the band back together.
Yeah, to take on these Darksiders. We do know that, well, at least this is what we've heard, is that Matt Smith is some sort of galactic arms dealer. And he's very connected and has a lot of money and probably has a militia at his own disposal that he uses. Quite possibly they have their own squadron. So in that case, if you have a scenario where Ryan Gosling is going back to his old war buddies to team up to take on this threat from this galactic arms dealer and Mia Goth, who may or may not be a dark side user. I think we said she was, though.
Yeah.
But more like an Asajj Ventress, not really a Sith necessarily. And she may be a mercenary herself.
Yeah, it could be a bounty hunter who's also trying to get this kid. Yeah.
Maybe a bounty hunter hired by Matt Smith who wants the kid for some reason. There has to be a MacGuffin in here somewhere. And it's not going to be the kid necessarily. Maybe the kid has something that Matt Smith wants. So there's all sort of different directions you can take a story like this when you're just, looking at it on surface level. But those are just some potential storylines that may bring more of a Top Gun vibe to this.
Mm-hmm. And bring the title into it, because Star Wars has a long history of having titles that relate to the story, a quite literal Return of the Jedi, The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. I know it was later A New Hope, but The Phantom Menace. Who is the Phantom Menace? Attack of the Clones. Very literal titles. So you would assume that Starfighter would keep that tradition alive. And as soon as we see it, we're going to go, yes, of course. That's why the film is called Starfighter. It makes total sense. Very unlikely that it's about a particular starfighter, like the inanimate object, a ship of some sort, and that Starfighter is referring to the Ryan Gosling character. That seems to be the smart money, I would assume. Yeah.
Not exactly the greatest Star Wars title ever conceived for a film. Doesn't
feel very pulpy. And that's what I love about the big, the great Star Wars title. Phantom Menace was derided. The Attack of the Clones, even you and McGregor laughed about it. But I look back at them now and I think they're brilliant titles.
They're really classic.
They're so classic. Yes, they are. They're very classic. Pulpy. Yeah.
And they have style and and charisma. Just a Solo doesn't really do it.
Right.
Mandalorian and Grogu. Rogue One's kind of cool.
Rogue One is cool.
You wonder, what is Rogue One? What do they even mean by that?
But I feel like with the Solo and the Mando and Grogu, that to me feels like focus group, talk down to the audience kind of stuff. Like, how are we going to get them to know that it's about the Mandalorian and Grogu? Well, let's call it the Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, they pay people to have these ideas. And whereas the Phantom Menace, it was pulpy, and it felt so different from the original trilogy. And we're like, what the hell is this? But it was mysterious. And then, of course, after you see the whole saga or the whole trilogy unfold, you realize what that is. And it just makes all the sense. And Attack of the Clones, again, that was one that you and McGregor even famously laughed at when somebody from the press told him what the title was. Are you serious? Attack of the Clones. But yeah, you look at it now and it makes total sense. I don't know. Even The Force Awakens, I think, is a brilliant title. Not
bad. And it does evoke that pulpy feel. But as far as titles like Solo or The Mandalorian and Grogu, that's just strictly taking a page out of Marvel's book. Well, Marvel does it that way. So, I mean, when they try to follow the Marvel template in any way, shape, or form, it all falls apart for them. Yet they keep going back to that over and over and over again. They're not the same franchises, and they should never be treated as if they're same. But because they're under the Disney umbrella, and Disney sees, well, it works for Marvel, let's just apply the same formula to Star Wars. No, it doesn't work that way. So they see Marvel films just titled after the characters. You have Iron Man, Captain America. At least with Captain America, when they started rolling out the sequels, they would put some clever subtitles on them like Winter Soldier, things like that. With Iron Man, they just went Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2.
But here's the thing, though. Those worked because there were comic books that were being released every single month for decades with those titles. Batman, Superman.
Yeah.
It made all the sense in the world. Of course. But Star Wars is not a comic book franchise or comic book. The spine of Star Wars is not comic books, whereas the spine of Marvel is the comic format, the comic medium. Star Wars is the spine of Star Wars is a film saga.
It's a saga. That's the spine.
All right, we got one more here. This is from another Adam, but also talking about the future of Star Wars.
Chat, Jason and Jimmy. This is Adam from Northern California, and I was just listening to a weekly show, the one on Starfighter, and it came up with you guys talking about how this movie could lead into the Kinberg trilogy and what a name would be for that trilogy. And right as you guys said that, I paused the podcast and started making a list of names. I tried to use GPT to get some answers, and they were all crappy. And then I was like, oh, maybe the final trilogy. So I was like, oh, that's kind of absolute. But I don't know, you could refer to them as the finals, like sequels, originals, prequels, finals. The only problem is it being little absolute, normally it says the open absolute. So then I pressed play and you guys said the final trilogy. So yeah, I guess it's not too original, but that's just my thought. Our number one.
I think maybe when Adam was recording that, somebody else was asleep or trying to sleep in the same room. He was, But Jim, this has been on my mind ever since we talked about it last week. So I was glad that Adam brought it up. Because the question that we were pondering was, you've got these names that we've adopted to describe the three trilogies: the original trilogy, the prequels, the prequel trilogy, and George himself referred to them as prequels. And then you've got what we call the sequels, the sequel trilogy. Well, what about this trilogy that allegedly Simon Kinberg is working? I guess not allegedly. Simon Kinberg is working on a new trilogy that's going to carry the saga forward into episodes 10, 11, and 12. What are we going to refer to that? Mm-hmm. And you were the one that said maybe the final trilogy. And as Adam points out, that seems it's got a cool ring and it kind of works, but is it too final? They don't want to do that. So I started to think about Star Trek a little bit and the J.J. Abrams, the first two films that J.J. did. And that's been called the Kelvin timeline, the Kelvin trilogy. And I thought, well, maybe, if this ends up being about the new Jedi Order, maybe we would call this, the new Jedi trilogy or the new Jedi Order trilogy, that it might actually just develop a name, might even be called, who knows, it could be called the Kinberg trilogy. If Simon really does put a stamp on it, kind of like we call the Nolan films, the Batman trilogy that Christopher Nolan did. Oh, the Batman, or we'll call them the Burton era. So there's other ways that you can sort of slice this, but what would we call 10, 11, and 12? The sequel. I think we said the sequel trilogy. But I like I
heard somebody refer to the episodes 10, 11, and 12, should they get made, that they will be the post-sequel trilogy. I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. The post-sequel trilogy. Then someone else broke them down. You have your prequel trilogy can be known as the Old Republic trilogy. Then the original trilogy can be known as the Empire trilogy. And then the sequel trilogy could be known as the First Order trilogy. And then this new one could be known as the New Republic trilogy, or
the Newer Republic.
It's hard, but I also consider like the Mandoverse to be the New Republic era.
Yes,
more so than I probably would consider post sequel trilogy to be the New Republic era.
I
They might
like the
come up with a
sequel trilogy a little bit. Yeah.
I hope that they establish like what's going on politically in the galaxy better than they did in the sequel trilogy, because they did not do a good job at all with that. That was something that George was really focused on in the prequels, and we did get a taste of it in the original trilogy as well. At least we knew that the Empire and the rebellion were at civil war and things like that. That's really important information to have.
Oh, just when Tarkin comes in and says that the Senate will no longer be a threat to us. The Emperor's decided to disband it permanently. I mean, that's a huge sort of context clue as to what's going on in the galaxy.
It sure is. And those type of lines went right over my head when I was a kid watching Star Wars for the first time. I didn't understand the significance of what Tarkin was talking about really until the prequel era kicked in, when we actually see the Senate at work. And I think that I just wasn't drawing, as a kid, I wasn't drawing enough connections between the Star Wars universe and how that operated as a democracy, compared to real life.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I just like politics in Star Wars didn't mean anything to me because you had these magic wizards, dark side, light side users. I thought those guys were calling all the shots. The idea of a Senate even like having sessions and debates and establishing legislation and things like that, it went right past me as a kid. Of course. I never even really considered like real world ramifications on the way Star Wars runs.
You can't really imagine yourself as a 9-10-year-old like in the living room floor being like, now he's in a Senate pod and he's debating.
But those were the demands. Those were the demands being placed at the feet of children of the late 90s.
Yes, it was.
Yes. Oh boy, this movie's about the trade routes and the taxation of those trade routes. And what a blockade! What? I don't think
you're out, Chancellor Valorum. No confidence in you. Someone's got to put those commercials together. I want to see those.
Yeah,
the real,
the kid whose mind was blown away by the political machinations of the Galactic Senate and the Chancellor's office and the taxation of trade routes.
Enter the bureaucrats.
Oh my God! There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential for that.
Oh man! All right. Well, all very good questions. Thank you all very much for the voicemails. Those are always fun to go through. And if this is the kind of humor you're looking for, if this is the kind of Star Wars talk you're looking for, you get it right here at Rebel Force Radio. And if our weekly podcast isn't enough, you can always find more of these kinds of hijinks over on Patreon.
That's right, Jason. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio is the home of all things Rebel Force Radio. If you like this podcast and you want to hear more Star Wars conversation, we got it waiting for you at RFR on Patreon. We have exclusive bonus podcasts like RFR Q&A, RFR RPG, and the Babu Freaks. We also have ad-free early bird releases of the weekly RFR every week. And full show video. The only place you can catch full show video is at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. As for RFR Q&A this week, we have RFR Q&A number 299 with Jackie from Idaho, who joins us to tell us about her lifetime of Star Wars hockey and potatoes. I mean, Idaho potatoes. You always hear about it, but she confirms that it's a big deal in Idaho, those potatoes. Very exciting stuff. I'm surprised we didn't talk about the Star Wars Mr. Potato Heads at all, which they still make. And there's a Mandalorian Mr. Potato Head out there I just saw recently. So that's me and Jackie. We have a great conversation. It was really wonderful to get to know her. She's a quality RFR VIP. And that's how people are able to host RFR Q&A, is by becoming an RFR VIP and supporting Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. Also this week we have RFR Q&A number 300, and that's a big deal. It's our 300th edition of RFR Q&A, and it's celebrating 300 with the freaks, the Babu freaks. Barry and Brian joined me for the 300th episode of RFR Q&A. It was actually donation. Their VIP status was actually gifted to them by another VIP who wishes to remain anonymous. So Barry and Brian, they joined me on RFR Q&A for the 300 show. It makes all the sense in the world because our other Babu freak brother, Tyler Page, hosted the 200th RFR Q&A episode with me. And so now we're getting his Babu freak brothers, Barry and Brian, on board with their own Q&A. So we want you to hear it. We want you to hear everything we have going on at Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. So join up, get all the podcasts you want, get all the video you can handle, and join a community of the greatest Star Wars fans you'll find anywhere on the internet or elsewhere. What a tight-knit group the Patreon crew has become. And there's thousands of supporters of Rebel Force Radio on Patreon. You can even join for free to just come by and check things out and see if it's a good fit for you. And get to know Patreon. It's a really easy website to use. It's very accessible. They have their own app. You can get caught up with RFR anytime. We're constantly posting there. And there's a great chat area where people have awesome conversations about all things having to do with Rebel Force Radio and the wars. So that's patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. That's the place you want to be for more RFR. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
All right, I've been waiting for this one for a while. You know, we've heard from the likes of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in the aftermath of the release of and Pedro Pascal and Sigourney Weaver as The Mandalorian and Grogu has hit theaters. But what about the guy in the suit? And I'm talking about Brendan Wayne, the legend. What's Brendan think about the Mando movie, and how's he out there promoting it? So, Jim, I was really happy when I saw on the rundown this week that you got some clips of the man behind the mask.
Yeah, he did a sit down with Brandon Davis. Brandon has a YouTube channel. It's pretty small, but he does a really good job. Good interviewer. And he had Brendan Wayne in the studio for a chat. And let's just get right to it. Pulled a few highlights here. This one was interesting. The question was asked of Brendan, the man behind the Mando mask, if the script ever gives him any indication or clues about what Grogu is saying. Like, does the script translate what Grogu is saying so Brendan, as the Mandalorian, sort of knows how to react to him? Because a lot of times it does seem like the Mandalorian is understanding what Grogu is trying to communicate. But does Brendan Wayne know? Does the script tell him anything? Brendan answers.
Oh, I mean, no. Like, that'll be like affirmative. You know, like they'll do a stage direction, but they don't say like Grogu says. Oh, they're like more like Grogu, you know, give him a nod, let him know that he's on the right track, or you want some food or something. Has anybody clocked, by the way, in the movie, the heel.
Oh yeah, he
stay.
says heel over and over again.
Does that like I was like, we're gonna get killed for this.
Why?
Because I'm telling a living like he's not my dog.
But it's kind of like a funny pet dynamic. I haven't seen any backlash to it.
6'7".
Oh. No, I did. There's at least 4 different times where there is like a heel to the baby.
I was like, this is never making it. I
It made it
100%
multiple
was like,
times over.
I know. And my oldest daughter looks at me and goes, seriously, Dad? I'm like, I didn't write it.
Okay, couple of things on this. One, I love this guy so much, his authenticity, his candor. I love it. I can't get enough of this guy. And two, this was something that Jimmy Mack pointed out here on Rebel Force Radio. It made you uncomfortable. You didn't like it. I think you even called it out. Did you call it out on RFR Live when we were in Cleveland? Yeah, this was not something that you liked. And I didn't really think, too much of it, but you were ahead of the curve on this one, man. Brendan hadn't heard anybody call it out, and he didn't like it on set.
Yeah. Even his kids didn't care for it. His daughter was like, really? But it turned me off big time, and it still does. I don't think anybody should be saying to Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, this cat, he's a survivor of Order 66. He was hauled out of the Jedi Temple when the clone troopers, the 501st, were marching on those steps and
with Darth
slaughtering anything in its path. Yes. And he is a Force user. He has been trained by Luke Skywalker and a little bit by Ahsoka. He deserves a little more respect than heel. That's what you'd say to your dog when your dog is misbehaving or stepping out of line. You say heel, Fido. But no, not to Baby Yoda. He's an individual. He's a person.
Yeah, and
Baby Yoda is a person. He's not a pet.
You would use words like that on a creature that has limited intelligence, right? You want to use a few words. The rule about working with animals is have as few rules as possible with them, but never break them, right? You just got to keep it really simple and basic, and that's what heel is. This is an individual that was able to climb up, go behind a computerized door and open it for the Mando. Like, Din was able to explain to him what he needed there. And then a minute later, he's saying heel. Yeah, you're so right. Like, this is
like he's an animal.
This is a very intelligent, sentient being.
Yeah.
That is capable of understanding complex languages and learning like any other individual. So, yeah, it was really out of place. I would love to know where Favreau got this idea, unless it's supposed to be a laugh. And it doesn't, I don't remember it getting any laughs, does it?
No, it does not get a laugh. It gets a groan. And it's just that the show the movie did so much to establish this like loving father-son relationship between the two, and heel just sounds just downright disrespectful.
Gonna try that on my 13-year-old.
Yeah, would you ever say heel to your kid, even if your kid was a toddler? You would say heel.
No,
that's terrible.
It's strange.
So I was happy to hear Brendan calling that out because it's weird. Yeah. It's not only kind of cringy and stuff. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Why would they be having him say heel to Baby Yoda? It's awful, actually. It's really bad. So, and also when you say that to Baby Yoda, he might not be hearing H-E-E-L. He might be hearing H-E-A-L. And the next thing you know, he's doing a hand thing.
The baby hand thing.
Yeah. The guy on the bus with the arm in the sling is all of a sudden like, hey, my arm's okay.
He just throws that.
No.
Yeah. Throws it anywhere. Oh, man. All right. What else we got here from
We got more conversation with Brendan about the Mando movie, and specifically, it does seem to be very standalone, very one-off, but like, what's the purpose of the movie? Like, what is the message that the movie is trying to convey? And Brendan gives his thoughts on that.
It's the same as the show, and I think it's a little harder because in the show you understand that Mando's constantly questioning the creed. And why does he believe in it? And the kid is that conscience that we ask, well, why do I go get communion or whatever it is, And that's what the kid is constantly doing. As much as he's growing up, really, it's like a parent, like me and my girls, like I slowly have to release freedoms so that they can learn the responsibility of those. And that's what I do with Grogu constantly. I'm constantly being challenged to release the freedoms and to learn that the stronger I make him or them, the better off we all are. And I think Grogu shows up in it. Like if you told me, think about pitching that. We're gonna have a puppet who comes back and really shows you how grown up and strong they are, and people are gonna fall in love with this puppet. Nobody, like everyone's like, dude. Like a bad comedians have puppets. Like, don't.
Yeah, it was such a bad idea that it had to work, or it would have been an absolute disaster. And I like what he's saying about releasing those freedoms. As my kids are getting older, I've got a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old, and you start to you find yourself at times kind of missing the little kid. And you start feeling sorry for yourself that they're not little anymore. Maybe they don't need you as much as they did before. But then you have to remind yourself of what your responsibility as a parent really is. It's not to have a little child for your whole life. It's to give them the building blocks that they need to be a productive member of society and live a fulfilling life. And as hard as that is, because it's a lot of letting go, as you give these freedoms, you also have to let go of a lot of things. And that's a tough thing, but you have to keep in mind what's the goal. And the goal is to give them what they need, whether it be freedom or restriction, depending on where they're at in their life, so that they can, go on to live their best life, maybe even a life better than you.
The old take care of the young, and the young take care of the old. I'm really looking forward to that second part of the saying. I keep saying that over and over to myself. And I'm like, okay, all right. Dylan took the recyclables out today. That's a step forward in the right direction.
Is that the young taking care of the old right there?
In my house, it is, unfortunately, and we're really lucky when it happens. But no, you see that, when your kids get older and you start seeing how capable they become. That's, I believe, what Brendan is trying to say there is that as they become more capable, it's just better for everyone. It's a benefit to society in general. So. It was really interesting how he got kind of deep about that there. And something that's a little more surface level is Grogu. And will he ever speak? Will we ever hear Grogu actually speak English? And that gets proposed to Brendan, and he confirms that despite what people think they hear from time to time, Grogu has yet to actually speak.
Somebody said, I can't remember, there was a whole thing where they think he said Mando or something. No, he hasn't spoken anything. And I've asked a million times, hey, is he ever going to speak? What are we doing, guys? Like,
will he speak like Yoda? Will he do
Yoda
that sort of...
like, he's older than me.
Yeah.
He should probably learn some languages sooner or later.
He's getting, I feel like Brendan's getting like a dad that's waiting for his kid to say the first words. Like, I'm getting a little impatient here. When's he going to be potty trained? When's he going to be able to talk? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever hear Grogu speak. But yeah, some people were thinking that they heard him say the word Mando. in the movie. I don't recall that. But what's really cool though is we got an email from Cirque Michaels. Remember Cirque? He presented us with the RFR Superstar song a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Mhm. So he wrote us again, and he says, "I think Grogu is saying this is the way in season 3, episode 3 of The Mandalorian, the episode called The Convert. Remember, it was the one with Dr. Pershing, and it showed what happened to him on Coruscant.
Yeah.
And that poor guy, we'll never be hearing from him again. His brains are scrambled eggs at this point. But in that episode, it featured kind of bookends with the Mando and Bo-Katan and Grogu, and they were flying around in Bo-Katan's ship, and then it cut away to the bit about Dr. Pershing, and then the episode wrapped up with, again, the Mando and Bo and all of them. So in the first part of the show, there's a shot with Mando, Bo-Katan, and Grogu in Bo's cockpit, and they have this little back and forth here.
I would invite you in for a feast, but I'm guessing that helmet isn't coming off again.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So Cirque thinks, now wait a second. I took the clip into the sound lab and cleaned it up as much as I could. And I isolated little Grogu. And so this is supposed to be, according to Cirque Michaels, Grogu saying, this is the way. Don't you hear it? This is the way. Play it again.
Oh, I did hear it that time. That time.
If you want to hear it, you will.
Okay. Now, as parents everywhere can attest to this, the child does not start by saying words out of their own head. They mimic at first. They mimic. And this isn't the first time, or the only time, I should say, that we've seen Grogu appear to mimic in some way, or a vocal response, whether you want to say words or speak. I feel like we've seen him do this. I think there's a scene. Isn't there a scene in the film when he salutes Sigourney Weaver and he's like, or whatever, he has like something, I feel. This is like, what character am I thinking of in animation cartoons? It was like, it'll come to me.
Any number of
right, yeah. Every Hanna-Barbera cartoon in the 70s and 80s had a character that. I'm thinking of Slimer on the Real Ghostbusters cartoon. I think that's what's going through my head. But does it count when you talk about Grogu speaking? Does it? Are the writers saying that those aren't words?
No, I like what you're saying.
Something.
It's a mimicking thing. It's like, I mean, he might as well be a parrot. He's just imitating the sounds that they're making, and they say this is the way quite often. So it's not the first time he's heard that. He recognizes there's some significance to it, but does he understand what it actually means? That's it. If he doesn't understand what it means, he's just mimicking.
I've heard linguists and people that study the development of speech say this, that your children understand what you're saying before they can speak. So the recognition of what the words mean, the meaning of the words comes first, and then the output comes later. So clearly, Grogu can take direction. He understands language. He understands what people are saying to him. But he cannot do more than just mimic it, and poorly, by the way. The other thing I've been wondering about this is maybe that's his native. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because he's been around basic speakers his whole life, likely. Yeah, I don't know. It's got to be, like you said, a parrot.
Can you fire off that isolation one more time? Everybody listen. This is the way. You're going to hear him say it.
Way. He turns way is like has 4 syllables in it.
Why?
Why?
Why? So yeah, I think that's what the sound guys intended, And even Mando kind of turns around and looks at him when he does it, like, holy crap.
What the
hell? That
hell?
sounded like This Is the Way. But it's like mama, dad,
Yes,
it's not really, it still isn't really speaking.
Right.
But I like it. As long as we're on This Is the Way, I got this very urgent message from Chris Hansford from Florida, and he is concerned. He believes he has discovered the famous phrase from The Mandalorian, "This is the way," has been ripped off from Game of Thrones.
No.
He says, the Mandalorian saying, "This is the way," may have been ripped off, all in caps too, from the Game of Thrones. Is the show called The Game of Thrones, or I thought it was just Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. It's not the Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris recommends we look at season 5, episode 8. Hard Home is the title of the episode. It aired May 13th, 2015. So 4.5 years before The Mandalorian debuted on Disney Plus. And Chris says, check it out starting at the 40-minute mark. Now, I know nothing about Game of Thrones, so I can't tell you who the characters are that are having this dialogue and what they're talking about or anything. But I can tell you, you will hear the famous "This is the way" saying being used in a very similar way, I guess, to how they use it in The Mandalorian.
I'll never trust a man in black. But I trust you, Tormund. If you say this is the way, we're with you.
This is the way.
That's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. And it's done in sort of a reverent kind of way, although they don't do the callback where I was waiting for that moment where they all go, this is the way. Yeah. Could that have been an influence? Yeah, I'm guessing it might have been. It might have been. And maybe they didn't even remember where it was from. Maybe they were just like, there's this. I don't know.
Well, it would have been Favreau, clearly. And I've never heard him say anything about Game of Thrones or anything, but we certainly know that Lucasfilm has tapped into a lot of Game of Thrones actors to appear in Mandoverse shows. So, I mean, even Pedro Pascal himself was on Game of Thrones. So Favreau obviously had to have seen episodes of that show, if not every episode of that show. So this is the way.
This is the way.
Rip off Game of Thrones. But Chris Hansford, he definitely wanted us to talk about this. It was marked urgent,
Yeah. You guys got it. Yeah. Well, I hadn't heard that. And yeah, I mean, it very well. I think it seems very plausible, very likely that was an influence. But it's not as though, yes, that scene happened, but I mean, did that become a thing within Game of Thrones where they adopted it? I'm not picking that up either. So, as a mantra, it doesn't seem like that was the intended use.
No. It may have been just in that specific moment.
Yeah.
And that was just the way she phrased the question to the guy. And he was just sort of mimicking her when he repeated it. This is the way. But it doesn't have that reverence. Right. It's not part of the fabric of their faith, that this is the way thing. So, it's, to me, it's a little too close for comfort.
Yep.
But I don't think Jon Favreau should stop using it.
No,
I think that it maintains its reverence as far as the way it's used in The Mandalorian and the way I look at it as a fan.
And I think Mando does it better.
Phrase. Yeah, Mandalorian does it better.
Yeah. We have a better version of this is the way.
Ours is better. Yeah. Yeah. Our way is better than yours. So that is it with our look back at The Mandalorian and Grogu via Brendan Wayne commentary and our deep dive into This Is the Way. Was it ripped off from Game of Thrones? Did Grogu actually say it in season 3? Oh, these are the tough issues that Rebel Force Radio tackles on a weekly basis here. So, moving from The Mandalorian and Grogu, though, I really wanted to talk about this lost George Lucas, Robin Williams interview, because this is something that's been of interest to me for a long time. We did cover this on the show many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm thinking like 2010 era. But this is an interview that was recorded and, it was at least released in 2002. Robin Williams and George Lucas. And you might be thinking to yourself, why did Robin Williams interview George Lucas? What's the deal with this? Where's there the connection? And what purpose did this interview serve? Well, in January of 2000, while everybody else was still crapping their pants about Y2K knocking everything offline, remember midnight rolled around and we're all like, oh, okay, we're fine.
Right.
Yeah. For some reason we had like distilled water and
it was the weirdest thing because everything was based on a 2-digit year.
Yes.
You didn't have to put in the 19 because it was, they even printed checks, right? Your checkbook had the 19 already filled in and you would just put the year in. And so the whole banking system, the software that our banks ran on was just assumed that the year was, 2 digits. And so they had to reprogram all of the banking software so that these things could continue on once the clock struck midnight going into the year 2000. So definitely overblown, but nonetheless, a concern. A lot of employment for computer programmers during that time.
For sure. And speaking of employment, Robin Williams hooked up with Audible in that month, January 2000. He signed a 3-year contract with Audible. And he signed on board to do this interview show for Audible. Audible is known for audiobooks, and they're sometimes a sponsor here at Rebel Force Radio. But they had their sights on getting Robin Williams there to release an audio interview every 2 weeks, exclusively on audible.com. And every interview he did was separated in 2 parts. So you would get the full interview each month. You would get one complete interview. And most of the people that he interviewed were friends or colleagues, and George Lucas is one of them. They both live in Marin County in California and know each other through filmmaking circles. And in addition to George Lucas, I have a list here of everyone Robin interviewed, and there's some real cool names in here: Martin Mull, Sharon Stone, Jeff Bridges, Andre Agassi, Whoopi Goldberg, Huey Lewis, another Bay Area guy, Bobcat Goldthwait, Billy Crystal, Buddy Hackett, Cheech Marin, Bonnie Raitt, Walter Cronkite, Jonathan Winters, Christopher Reeve, Nathan Lane, David Crosby, Harvey Fierstein, Father Guido Sarducci, Eric Idle, and you can't hear these interviews anywhere.
Dude, they're gone.
They're completely gone. And I had the full George Lucas Robin Williams interview, but I lost it when I had an external drive crash on me And that was the only copy I had, was on that external drive. And I was devastated by that. The only thing I've been able to acquire over the years is this 5-minute segment that somehow survived and someone posted online. But just recently, you sent a message out to the Jedi Council that, or maybe, I don't know if it was you or Kyle. Was it Kyle?
Yeah, he sent it out saying, hey, like basically, look at this. This is so cool.
Kyle is always scouring the web for Star Wars stuff, and then he immediately sends us the links to it. And I saw this, and it was like, wow, somebody has released the entire interview of the George Lucas, Robin Williams sit down. And not only is this the full interview, but it's the raw audio. So there's even like some discussion in between.
Dude, I didn't realize that. I
Yeah.
assumed it was just what I had heard. See, I was a early adopter of podcasting and Audible and the iPods and all of that, because there were some tech podcasts I listened to back in the day, and Audible was a sponsor, and so I signed up. And I remember when Robin was doing that show, and I had the Robin Williams, George Lucas interview on my iPod back in the early 2000s. And it was just one of those things. I never thought about archiving them or anything like that. I just assumed they would always be there. And but I didn't know that what Kyle sent was some kind of unedited raw audio. That's very cool.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube if anybody is interested in listening to the entire George Lucas, Robin Williams interview. But I looked for some of the funnier things in this interview, and I pulled some meaty clips here just for us to review. The first clip is Robin Williams and George Lucas discussing the Jar Jar Binks voice and cute characters in Star Wars and how the fan base sometimes pushes back on the cuteness.
The voice was actually written in a script.
Serious?
Yeah.
That kind of rhyming.
Yeah, it's sort of... It's turned out to be Jamaican, but it wasn't.
What's that?
It isn't Jamaican by a long shot, but if you're a Jamaican...
Jamaica.
Yeah,
I and I walking away now.
I just don't understand this Binks character. Everybody else I can understand, but...
Give me out away some queer time.
Yeah, very strange voice.
Jar Jar working up the time the way queer find Luke Skywalker. Jar Jar wheeling. I and I walking away. It was amazing to see the people's response to it. It's a totally created creature interrelating with humans.
Yeah.
Seamless.
It's funny. I mean, the fans hated it, but the fans hated Jar Jar before the movie even came out, before they even knew what he was.
Why did they hate him before?
They don't like comic sidekicks. They just can't take it. You know, in the first film, nobody liked 3PO. They couldn't stand him. You know, it was like, you know, the most repulsive character ever created on film. And then we went on to when we did the Empire, nobody liked Yoda. You know, you can't understand what he's saying. He talks backwards.
Syntax have none.
Yeah, it's like it's terrible. And then in the third one, they hated the Ewoks. They just couldn't stand them. They were too cute, too fuzzy.
They wanted gremlins. They want nasty.
Well, they want something nasty and mean. And so it's sort of inevitable that the smallest, sort of goofiest character
gets despised.
Hated by, because they want to. A lot of the fans are sort of into Terminator 2, and it's like, how dare you make this into a children's film? I say, hey guys,
can't you have everybody look like Darth Maul?
Yeah, that's exactly what they want.
I want a Maori and a mime combined.
They want everybody to be mean.
They want to be mean. Welcome. R2-D2, can't he have a small razor? No.
Oh my God, there's so much goodness in that. So much funny stuff. But I do like and Robin talks over it just a little bit, but there's a moment when George is like, it's talking to the fans like, hey guys, it is a movie for children. It is a kid's movie. So he was about to say. And Jim, these are things that, we have talked about over the years. And this is one of those instances where I'm glad that I'm able to do this show with somebody that was, had a few years on me and remembered what it was like and what your friends and family and people were talking about at the time. So just for everybody out there listening that maybe hasn't heard this, did everybody hate C-3PO when the first movie came out? Let's take them one at a time. Did everybody hate C-3PO?
Absolutely not. He was beloved, him and R2 right out of the gate. They were the Abbott and Costello, everyone loved them. And 3PO looks cool with the exposed wiring and the gold plating and the eyes that light up and everything. Sure, he was fussy and prim and proper and all of that stuff, but I think that just made the character even more endearing. And it just the visual of 3PO is such an iconic Star Wars visual. He's so well known. It was an instant legend right away. I mean, there was no, I've heard people say derogatory things about 3PO, but it was far from being everyone hated 3PO. There was nothing like that.
That was not a thing.
Nothing. That was not a thing. Nobody thought twice about it.
All right.
And it was one of the most desired action figures upon its release. Everyone had 3PO posters and all sort of.
Remember
things.
it was. They even got a cartoon series later on and all that. Okay. All right. So what about Yoda and Empire Strikes Back? George makes a claim that everybody hated Yoda. And
again, everybody hated Yoda. That's an absurd statement to make. It was absurd today as much as it is absurd in 2001 or whenever this interview was recorded, 2002. And it's totally absurd in 1980 to say something like that. The only pushback you would really hear about Yoda is the voice. A lot of people were drawing comparisons to Grover from Sesame Street or Fozzie Bear from The Muppet Show. It hit you that way.
Yeah.
Where that's what you were hearing, because those two characters were so familiar to everyone in 1980. But when Yoda spoke, that's who you were hearing. So it kind of.
Do you remember were you jarred by that as soon as he, wait, put your weapon. I mean, you no harm. I mean, were you like, whoa? That's Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear.
I just heard him last night.
Fozzie Bear. Yeah, he sounds exactly like Fozzie Bear. And he doesn't sound exactly like Fozzie Bear, but you can hear it's the same voice.
Yeah.
So, Yoda, he wasn't running around going, waka, waka, but it was very similar. It was more Grover to me than Fozzie.
Okay.
It was a little more Grover. But that was really the only criticism. I think a lot of people were just overwhelmed with the magic of the performance and the puppetry and all of that. You fully bought the puppet at 100, even though you were hearing the voice of a puppet you were familiar with coming out of Yoda's mouth. You still bought in to the idea that Yoda is a living, breathing individual.
It's almost like it shouldn't have worked. Like there was so much going against it.
Right.
Especially the familiarity of the voice, but it sure as heck did. Okay, now we fast forward to 83 in the Ewoks. Okay, I was 6 years old. The Ewoks were cool to me because I was a kid and I loved the plushies and I loved the figures and all that. And they were funny, Wicket, the slingshot thing hits him in the face, all those. But I think there was a little smoke to that fire. The Ewoks were maybe a bridge too far, and there was pushback, correct?
Yes, definitely. The teddy bears did receive a lot of pushback. So George is right on with that one. And essentially the Ewoks were really setting the stage for Jar Jar Binks in many, many ways. Because the Ewoks seemed to be completely outside the box for Star Wars. They were cutesy, they were cuddly, they were friendly. I get what George was doing with all of that, trying to have a primitive civilization overthrow the technologically advantaged empire, and just to show that how that could happen. And he made them cute, and I accepted the Ewoks, but I also had open ears to the criticism of the Ewoks.
Mm-hmm. Did you have friends your own age? They were like, "Oh man, I'm done with Star Wars. It's just the teddy bears and all that." Was it that like checkout point for some people?
No, but the derision became more obvious as I started to proceed into my teenage years. And we would look back at those films, and people were just being more verbal about, man, I can't stand the Ewoks. I hate the Ewoks. If you ask me, a bit of that has died down over the years because George kept saying, oh, you hate the Ewoks? Hold my beer. You know, here's a Jar Jar Binks for you. You know. And the Nemoidians were not very well accepted. Watto, not necessarily very well accepted either. So George was really hitting the ball out of the park by the time it came to the Phantom Menace. But George was also so insulated and filthy rich at that point in time, and revered as the mastermind behind Star Wars.
And no one was pushing back on him.
Nobody
watched
was
those documentaries. Everybody is just like, yes, George. Yes, jump how high, George.
Yeah.
So no one was saying, this character sucks. You need to wear. No one was going to say that to him. Not even McCallum.
I have heard insider stories, though, that reveal that there was pushback.
Oh, really?
And George just ignored all of it.
Oh, okay.
Huh. No, this is my playing field, my baseball, my bat. My rules.
Yeah, well, when you're the guy that's paying for everything, I that's tempting, but you also, it was listening to some of those other voices that made the original trilogy what it was, but also, Jim, it was also tuning out a lot of the naysayers, right? I mean, George famously had that screening, and although some of that you don't know exactly what to believe. Did they all hate it except for Spielberg? I mean, Marshall Lucas tells a version of it. De Palma tells a version of it. We've heard Spielberg tell a version of it. But I do think that George knew who to listen to and who not to at that time. But when you go 20 years into the future and you're a billionaire and you're paying all these people's salaries, it would be tough to stand up to the boss and say, hey, guy that created the most influential film saga of all time, I think you're wrong on this one.
I think just when George sat down and set out to create the prequels, he made a pact with himself that he was going to shut out all the noise because he was under this tremendous amount of pressure. He's not immune to that. He was under a tremendous amount of pressure, and he just wanted to shoulder that burden himself. And he didn't want to have collaborators. He felt like he was the guy who was the expert on the Star Wars universe. He knew the worlds that he built better than anyone else. And, with that comes a little bit of arrogance and hubris and being a little high on his own supply, to be able. But I think that the only way that he was going to be able to push forward and get that prequel trilogy done was just to really shut out all the noise and BS because of all the pressure he was under.
Yeah.
It was just a tremendous amount of pressure for him to deliver. And I don't think, I think people write that off a little bit way too often, where they just don't understand like the psychological impact of having to return to Star Wars after it becomes such a legendary thing for Lucas. And he really wanted to finish what he had started too.
Yeah.
He didn't want to just leave it hanging out there with episodes 4, 5, and 6. He wanted to have a solid intro to it all. And he would, damned if he did and damned if he didn't in that situation. And I think he understood that. So he wasn't going to listen to anybody.
Right.
But I did hear from some people who were definitely in the know and at Lucasfilm at the time. And they tell me that, there was occasional pushback but George just wasn't going to have anything to do with it. It wasn't going to have a damn thing to do with it. And that's why this Robin Williams interview is so interesting to hear, because it's all happening in the wake of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And in the wake of George seeing some of his ideas and concepts not being very well received. And so he's lashing out at the fans a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
for sure. Yeah.
And revising history too by making up things, by saying that everyone hated 3PO, everyone hated Yoda. But I mean, that's the furthest thing from the truth. When we get to the Ewoks, okay, now you're getting a little more accurate in your recounting of history, George. There was a lot of pushback to the Ewoks. And to a lot of, I mean, believe it or not, even Jabba's palace received a bit of pushback because people thought it was too Muppety. They didn't get the vibes that this was now, look what we can do with the cantina sequence you loved so much 6 years ago. Look what we can do now. I don't think people saw it that way. They saw it more as like a Muppet show.
Well, with Empire, you can imagine coming off of Empire and everybody talking about how incredible Yoda was and how believable he was. It's like, okay, now we're going to double and triple and quadruple down on puppets, And then you see that documentary attached to the episode 2 DVD release, From Puppets to Pixels, and that's exactly what it was. Pixels replaced puppets. George was like, oh, you want to see what I can do with puppets? Here's Jabba's palace. And the same way, you want to see what I can do with CGI characters like Jar Jar Binks? Here's a whole army of them. So he really did, kind of prove the concept with one character and then greatly expand it across massive amounts of characters.
I always thought the Gamorrean guards looked like men in suits. I always felt that way. I never liked how they looked. Now, I thought that was the Muppet Show. I've grown to like the Gamorrean guards quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I complained about the ones that were presented in the Book of Boba Fett because they didn't look like men in suits.
Right.
So, over time you accept it all. But I thought those Gamorreans were rather Muppety. And Salacious Crumb was rather Muppety. But I've grown to love all of those characters. So, I mean.
And people have grown to love Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Ewoks, for that matter. The Ewoks are largely very much accepted as an essential part of the saga. And I don't think it gets the pushback like it once did. Let's move forward with more from the Lost interview, Robin Williams and George Lucas. Here they talk about British accents in Star Wars. So you can imagine that fires Robin up a bit.
Right in the very beginning of the first movie, we decided to play with accents and try to mush, because I was dealing with English and American and everything. I wanted to sort of mush it into a lot of different kinds of accents, since it was all over the galaxy and times, different kinds of dialects and different languages, and not do just everybody speaking, British.
Yeah, it seemed like all the villains basically on the Death Star was all, sir, Mr. Lord Vader.
We kept the militaristic group a little bit more higher English than the.
Yeah, they were very much Lord Vader.
Yeah.
Very sorry, Lord. Not like English sergeants. Lord Vader, it's all been done, sir. Planet's been destroyed, sir, as you wished. Or one Scottish stormtrooper. Can't go in there, sir. The doors haven't been blown off yet. We'd be definitely ready to go. Lord Vader!
What is he saying?
Lord Vader, to get free plane. What? They were blowing the wee bear. What? Blowing the wee kind of Vader for below. Time out the beaver. The brave hard Vader. Luke. What? Luke, do that with the farce. What? Use the farce, Luke. What? Use the farce. The farce? Farce! What with me? Great Scottish Vaders. Lord McVader. Step up.
Lord McVader. George is loving it, I would say Robin Williams, I think, is the only interviewer who has been able to get George Lucas to sound like he actually enjoys being George Lucas.
Yeah, right. You're right about that. And it was a really interesting part in George Lucas's history, too, where, I mean, he was really riding high on the hog during the prequel era. And, despite the criticisms of Jar Jar Binks or whatever else. And he did take a lot of criticisms. But I like how he says, I like to mash up the accents and stuff, just so everyone's not speaking British. George, Speaking British, George, pretty sure we say they're speaking English.
Yeah. I think,
Now, I don't want them speaking no United States. I want them speaking British.
Well, it does feel
right,
like
George.
that he created somewhat of a class system with the accents.
Yes.
So you had,
Right.
Tarkin, and we've talked to the great Stephen Stanton, who's dissected the Tarkin dialect so well, and the rolling of the R's and all of that stuff. And something that I think we've brushed upon in the past, but there's scenes of Carrie Fisher clearly trying to affect a British accent. And then it's something that is abandoned. And then from, the stories are that she just couldn't do it. And so eventually she was just directed to knock it off because she couldn't do it convincingly or consistently. So that tells you something a little bit about, and then of course all the other characters, Han and Luke, and are speaking a very American, and in a very American accent. Alec Guinness, of course, with the little British, but comes from a different era, a different time. So I think I get what George is saying, how he was playing around with that in casting and But the Leia thing, why was she speaking with a British? Why was the original intention that she would speak with a British accent? Because she's from aristocracy, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. To show. Yeah. She's one of those highfalutin type of people because she has that British accent. And you can hear Carrie try to put on that accent really well when they destroy Alderaan. And you hear her slipping into it, you foul stench, all of that stuff.
When you were brought on board.
Brought on board. Yeah, she definitely is doing it. And then history repeats itself because in the prequels, he had Natalie Portman doing some sort of affected voice when she was like addressing the Senate and stuff. When she was just Padme, it was just Natalie talking. But when she was full on Queen Amidala with the white face paint and everything, she was talking about the Naboo, and just it was such a weird accent.
Be assured, her heart goes with you. When she's saying goodbye to Anakin, little Annie.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to see Padme before I left. She's like,
her heart goes with you. Yippee! See, it's the breakdown of the classes and the
right. But that's
he's
so
a peasant
true
boy.
about. Because then Keira Knightley, she gets into the act a little bit. I think she's got some Amidala lines, and she's trying to do the same thing.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
So on the topic of accents,
yes,
you can't just let this go with Robin Williams in the room. They discuss a little bit of Ewan's accent and how George was trying to coach him to speak more British because he is the younger version of Alec Guinness. And then this is interesting because, it's been well publicized that some of George's use of accents in the prequel trilogy got a little pushback from people who thought that he was elevating stereotypes. And George directly addresses this stuff here in this moment with Robin Williams. So I think you'll find this both to be hilarious and insightful.
Ewan, he is Scottish.
Oh, I know.
He has a very, very thick Scottish accent. And to get him to do to Alec Guinness, who's very, very English, and has a very, very English accent, it's very interesting because he actually pulls it off pretty well. Because his real accent is way different.
Oh, he's got that video.
He does. He sounds like Fat Bastard.
That would have been good. The other dark meat. Vader. That would have been great if Fat Bastard in the middle of that. Oh, Ian, hand me that boy. Bring me that Anakin. What are you going to do with it? You know what I want. I found it in the suit. Fat bastard.
That's funny how people react to things like that. The reaction to that was probably stronger than anything else in the movie.
What?
Which is accents.
Seriously? Because of people all
they tried to sort of deal with, this is that and this is that, and it was the same thing with Watto, who was an Italian accent, And originally everybody thought it was Arabic. It was an Arabic
then some people thought it was anti-Semitic because
yeah, then they thought it was Jewish.
What are you doing? Get away from me! It's like the old guy in the magazine
but-
shop. Kids don't touch the magazines.
Accents don't make a stereotype. It's the stereotype has to do with certain characters, cliches, really, that are created that certain people fall into, and then the whole group gets painted with the same brush as the few. Really, how cliches and stereotypes work. I mean, that's part of the tools of a writer. And of anybody, I mean, even a comedian.
Well, major tool.
Yeah, major tool. I mean, that's basically a lot of the comedy comes out of the fact that we see a stereotype or we see a cliche, and it's funny to watch it.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with directors. And why do all directors have beards and wear Levi's and a baseball hat? I mean, it's like,
It's
what a
mandatory.
Cliche. It's a cliche.
What do you do?
Stereotype.
Do you have a beard and a baseball hat? No. I'm sorry, sir. Step away from the camera. Step away from the camera right now. You have to relax. Put on the beard, sir. Well, excuse me? I'm sorry, sir. When you can grow a beard, now you can step up to the camera. What are you saying? Francis, show him. Come on.
Many people would wish that Marlon had been the voice of, basically, you could have had him as Jar Jar, be it definite, or Jack.
I've always been waiting to see Jack in Star Wars. Use the Force, Luke. If not, flirt a little. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, it is. What a great time capsule. It's so fresh in George's mind. And I like that they stick up a little bit for the idea that so much of our humor is based on these shorthand things. Obviously, stereotypes when they go too far, or they start to limit people's opportunities in the world and things like that. Yes, that's not good. But when they become sort of a shorthand way of us identifying this or that, it can be used for just good-natured fun. And that's what I think Robin was talking about, and throwing out, all of those accents and stuff like that. Because it should be equal opportunity. We should all make fun of ourselves, and other people can make fun of us. And I heard somebody say one time, I don't care what you say about me, as long as it's funny. If it's funny, we're okay. We're okay. But
it becomes, the silence is deafening when they stop talking about you. So
yes.
Whether,
sure.
There's a lot of truth behind the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And that's something I've kind of learned over the years. But some ideas also flew under the radar a little bit better in, 26 years ago. Hard to believe that we're listening to these guys talk 26 years ago.
And you talk about 26 years ago and what he's doing. He's essentially creating what we would now call a podcast. And I found this clip of Robin on The Tonight Show, and it was being hosted by Jay Leno. And he was trying to explain to Jay what this was. Now, you have to forgive me. I had to do some editing because Robin, he riffs. And so I was trying to just get to the nut of him explaining what this program was on Audible and how you listen to it and all that. But this is a great, Wayback Machine thing. Hear Robin Williams try to explain to Jay Leno essentially what a podcast is without saying the word podcast, because it really didn't exist then.
What's the idea behind this?
You're getting so excited.
I'm excited about your project.
What are you doing? What is this?
I don't understand.
This technology is
what? I'm confused.
Jim, I'm a doctor, not a busboy. It's basically, it's downloadable sound, okay? Hence Audible.
Right.
And then also they have things like books on tape, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, which is really great to read
Yeah, but
today.
what is it you do? What you do? Are you doing a weekly show?
I do a weekly show, which can be either myself, just doing characters and riffs, and conversations with friends like Oliver Sacks, Susan Sarandon, Mario Cuomo. Mario.
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah.
We got, let's see, Jonathan Winters was yesterday. We talked Monday. It was great.
Oh, that's good. Well, he's very good.
And
a half hour's not enough for him. You must have like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, we did an hour, and I hope, so we'll mix that up.
So how do you hear the show? You just, what is it? You go to audible.com.
Let me write it down for you.
Audible.com.
www, that's World Wide Web,
World
and
Wide Web.
WWF, it's a wrestling website, be there.
And then what after that? Robin.
And then you look for me. There'll be a little picture.
A picture of you.
Things that you can,
something that you could do.
No, it's not damaged. It's not Oedipal.com. Oh, it's not one thing. It's your mother. No.
So every week it's a different.
Yeah, different show, made for the web for people to download. And
okay.
And it has this stuff, and you can either load that on your computer, and from there you can load it to an MP3 player, which
An
is
MP3.
An MP3. And you're going, what's that, my friend? What is that? You say, a small. Everybody, you can ask that guy. You know what an MP3 player is, don't you?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, that guy doesn't have he's got a reel-to-reel tape recorder, that guy.
He's going, 8 tracks, Robin, give it up, man. I've got a huge collection of Engelbert and Don't Knock Me.
But this is like huge with like college kids and high school.
Yeah, basically, been using it for music for a long time. Most of these players can download an hour of music, and with this, you can download 20 hours of sound, my friend.
Oh, I see.
Audible.
But a lot of guys are bypassing the record companies and just taking the music directly from the...
Straight from the web, my friends.
Wow.
You can get that, and you can check it out there. And that's what I'm doing, because Bicentennial Man did so well.
Well, no, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. That was fun. You were great.
It was fun, and this is just something to try out, just to see. It's basically radio.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Radio, now I understand.
Now you understand. It's radio.
So I can listen to that in the car.
Yes, that's what you can do with this, too, Jay.
Hey, what do you think?
So
okay, now
he
that's
waits-
an interesting time capsule right there.
Right, because Jay still doesn't get it until Robin says he's talking about music and everything. Until
Radio.
Robin says radio, and the light bulb goes off, and now Jay's like, "Oh, radio! I can listen to that in my car." So it's just really interesting. And now here we've been doing a podcast for 20 years, and it's like no one thinks anything of it. I remember, Jim, you and I talking about the promised land of you being able to get in your car and your sound system just pulls in your podcasts. And if you have wireless CarPlay with your iPhone or whatever, it does that. You're just tapping on your screen and pulling up podcasts. And we were there back when it was like, okay, then you connect your iPod with a USB and then you drag the files over. And
oh, God, you have to wait for it to sync.
Yep.
And I'd be like, sync already, sync. And I'd be looking, my train is going to be here in 5 minutes. Will you sync? And I grab the iPad and I'm running down the block to get to the train station so I can listen to Jason and Pete.
But no, that's how it was. It was like you didn't want to start your commute in the morning until your iPod synced. I remember like leaving it, connected to my computer overnight, so I'd get up and hopefully it would have synced, overnight. It was just a whole different world. So
when I got my first iPhone, I continued to sync the podcast the way because I didn't trust it was a weird, it didn't last very long.
You didn't trust that it was going to download?
I just how am I going to download it? And then I get on the train and I don't have the Wi-Fi and all of this stuff. It was all just, what do you mean? I could just download it on the iPhone itself? I don't have to plug it into my laptop anymore. And that's what I think. That's when I think you really started using the profanity on our phone call when I was explaining this to you back in 2010 or whenever it was. So, but yeah, it's real fun to know that when Robin was talking to Jay back then on the Tonight Show, even the idea of the World Wide Web was still kind of fresh, and conceptually people were still just growing accustomed to the new computer age we suddenly found ourselves living in.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job. I think we've been able to incorporate it into our lives. I really think this internet thing is going to catch on. I really believe it is.
Agreed.
I'm glad we stuck with it.
Yes. All right. We've got one last story here. I can't wait to get to it. So let's get to it now. It is the outrageous, unthinkable story of the week.
It's outrageous. It's unthinkable.
All right. Boy, I saw this and I thought, I don't know how I would feel about it. I guess I do know how I would feel. I'd feel pretty mad. So here's the story. Hayden Christensen, our beloved Hayden, we love him. Anakin Skywalker. He really ticked off some folks because he was at a convention. This was SpaceCon that was happening in Texas. And now I was just at a show earlier this year that Hayden was appearing at in Cleveland. And so I don't know if he does this with every convention, but I do know that Hayden's panel is an extra event at a lot of these shows. So if you want to go see Hayden, not only do you need to pay for the admission into the convention itself, but you also need to pay to be there for Hayden as he does his bit. Usually he's being interviewed or something like that. So apparently these people, they're all gathered there at SpaceCon in San Antonio, and Hayden is in the midst of this panel when he gets up and tells everyone that he's going next door to catch Game 5 between the Knicks and the Spurs.
You're kidding. So the convention center is adjacent to the arena where the San Antonio Spurs play?
Apparently.
I'm assuming.
Apparently.
And so he just up and left during his panel?
Up and left during the panel. And so people were pretty ticked off because Hayden wasn't really all that apologetic, just kind of was like, yeah, I'm going to go and check this out. So I guess there's footage of this, courtesy of TMZ. So
of course, TMZ was there,
right? So let me. Our cameras were there. Let me see if I can send this over to the other screen and pull this up.
Yeah, it's already sus if TMZ was there. It's almost as if they told Hayden, hey, they probably gave him the tickets. Hey, Hayden, it's a slow news week. Will you walk out of your convention panel and go to the
That's
NBA
sort of the
finals,
thing I
please?
want to know is did another celebrity or somebody say, hey, I got an extra ticket to this game. You want to go? Like, it seems like it would be literally a game day decision, but the TMZ website is just the worst. Good God, with all the ads.
Hayden's Canadian, so he doesn't have like any local roots or ties to either the Spurs nor the Knicks, for that matter. So, I mean, really, I get it. It was a great NBA postseason all around.
Now,
this year,
by the way, this is something that Kyle Newman would do to us, Jim. Kyle would be in the midst of a good hang, and something better would come along. Sorry, guys, I'm heading off to Disneyland with Mark Hamill and Mary Lou. And it's hardly something we could blame him, I suppose. But
Newman out.
Yeah. All right. Let's check out this video.
We can't just let that hang, though. I mean, Kyle has certainly made up for it in many ways.
Yeah. It's just fun to bust his chops.
He's an invaluable friend of ours here at RFR. So I just wanted to say that in case Kyle is listening.
Let's see.
Hi, Kyle.
Shoot. This is on TikTok. I don't have
always
TikTok.
a hassle to work with TikTok. So, but they claim to have video of Hayden actually saying, okay, folks, I'm leaving to go to the Spurs game.
That is what is being alleged here. Let me see. I may be able to rip this video.
While you're doing that, I just want to bring up an adjacent story to this. It doesn't really have anything to do with Star Wars, but it's more in the category of celebrities behaving badly and not treating their fans well. In a very similar situation, Rod Stewart was pictured at the Scotland World Cup shortly after canceling a concert due to, quote, illness.
Really?
Sir Rod Stewart, Rod the Mod, was seen celebrating, this is from ESPN, was seen celebrating Scotland's World Cup win over Haiti at Gillette Stadium in Boston on Saturday night, shortly after canceling a concert due to illness, which the show itself was actually in Chula Vista, California. He canceled 40 minutes before he was supposed to go on stage. Less than 24 hours after the canceled gig, Stewart posted a video of himself and two of his sons on an airplane with the caption, "Me and the boys off to Boston to see our Scotland in the World Cup."
Oh my God. What is it with these people? I mean, the World Cup is not now. Look, the NBA Finals. I get, you don't know until it happens for the most part what's happened. But like the World Cup, we know what every 4 years or whatever the hell it is. It's not like it sneaks up on you, Rod.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, it's really disrespectful to your own fans to do something like that.
40 minutes before. So here's Hayden leaving. This is what we got. Hayden's taken off.
But I am going to go try to catch the second half of this game.
He's there with Ian McDiarmid.
We'll be back in Ahsoka season 2.
Jimmy Smits is on there.
And those guys aren't leaving to go to the game as well?
Nope, just Hayden.
Oh, God.
All right, so in the midst, so you paid for this panel. There he's hugging Ian McDiarmid. He's going to hug Jimmy Smits. I am going to go and try to catch the second half of the game.
And the crowd goes wild. It doesn't seem like anybody's too upset that he's walking out of his own
TMZ
panel.
report said there were boos. I'm not hearing any boos.
No, none whatsoever. None whatsoever. And they're the ones pointing us to this video anyway.
Yeah, there's
you see
Hayden and
hugging McDiarmid.
Yep, and he's hugging. I guess.
He gets hugs, he gets applause, he gets love, and then here he is at the game showing off the Hayden Christensen Spurs jersey.
Oh my God.
That is, you know what? That's big ballin'. And only the chosen one could get away with crap like that, let me tell you.
Well,
wow.
Hayden leaving his responsibilities there at that panel because of his emotional attachment to a basketball game is about the most in-character Anakin Skywalker thing I think you could probably do.
I guess so. And he missed the whole first half of the game.
Yeah.
He's showing up late and walking out on his fans. He should have said something like, "I'm going to the game, and you are all coming with me. Let's go." They have all the nerds from the convention storming the arena.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like people were all that upset. But I would have been kind of ticked, if I'd have paid extra for that panel to see Hayden and Ian and Jimmy Smits, and I'm halfway through, and I'm standing in line ready to get up to the microphone to ask my question to Hayden, and he goes, "Sorry guys, I'm going next door to see the basketball game."
Oh, that's just outrageous. And, it doesn't help my latest bout of convention angst I've been going through,
Yeah.
I've been just real angry at the way the scene has devolved as far as conventions go. Long gone are the days of by the fans for the fans. Everything's just a big cash grab, and the Hayden Christensen panel you have to pay extra for, and he's not going to say anything that he hasn't said in countless numbers of interviews and other panels.
Yeah.
And he's really just like energy wise, he's flat in these things. I mean, what are
Carrie
we talking
Fisher,
about?
you used to have to pay extra for Carrie Fisher. But that was like basically her one-woman show that was on Broadway at one point. So
that's right.
That I kind of understand. But
plus there were the added draw of like maybe Carrie will show up wasted, or maybe her dog will relieve itself on stage. Things like that. Were always very exciting elements in any Carrie Fisher public appearance. So you don't get that with Hayden so much.
No.
He shows up totally sober and with no pet.
But he might ditch you for a basketball game halfway through.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher would never do that.
Chewie, get us out of here!
And on that note, we end this week's episode of Rebel Force Radio. We still love Hayden, but not a good move, in my opinion. Not a good move.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it as always. We love to chat everything and all things Star Wars. And we were saying earlier, if you want more of that, you can get it over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Weekly full show video and exclusive podcast you can't find anywhere else. So go there, join today. Please watch us on YouTube. We've got a lot of archives on YouTube, all of the after shows going back to the final seasons of the Clone Wars, I think, are all there on our after show playlist. So check those out. Every Disney Plus show, every season, every episode available for you to check out. Follow us on the socials. We're on Facebook. We're on X. We are on Instagram. The same Instagram that you just saw Hayden Christensen walk out an entire theater of people that have, who knows how long they waited in that line, too. I mean, you just...
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Not good.
And, of course, the website for Rebel Force Radio is rebelforceradio.com. So please, if you're still connecting your iPod to your computer to get Rebel Force Radio via USB, no, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just subscribe right on your phone via your podcatcher of choice and listen on your way to work. Leave us a review. We'd love to have a review. Just one simple, small rule, please.
Make them good.
All right. That's it. We'll see you next week for more Rebel Force Radio, bringing you the best in Star Wars news, interviews, and so much more. We'll see you next time. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
Use the Force. The Force? Force!